We have a country to save. And as you look at that, you look around the world and the world is on fire. I'm going to work hard to make you proud like I always have. And together, we will work on saving our country and getting our country back on track.
Welcome back to America Decides. That was Nikki Haley in her home state of South Carolina, where she formally filed to appear on the Palmetto State's Republican presidential primary ballot. And a new Iowa poll found Haley jumping up to 16%, tying her for second place alongside Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. We are joined now by Shelby Talcott and Robert Costa. Shelby, a 2024 campaign reporter for Semafor. Robert, of course, CBS News' chief elections and campaign correspondent. Haley, you were in Nevada over the weekend where most of these Republican contenders were. She now appears to be the one to beat, right? Because she's on the rise.
Yeah, the one to beat for
if you're not Trump.
Second place.
Yeah.
And as I talked to a lot of the voters at the Republican Jewish Coalition in Las Vegas this weekend, a lot of them really like her, and they like her because of her foreign policy. And that's kind of a shift from what we're seeing from the faction of the Republican Party who is more America first, America only, who would never vote for Nikki Haley. This group of Republican voters really wants a 2024 president who's going to stand strong for Israel, and she has made it very clear, both with her background and with what she's arguing for now, that she's going to be the candidate who does that best.
Vice President Mike Pence dropping out, Bob, over the weekend, does what to the rest of the field based on what you've seen and heard?
Well, to build on what Shelby was saying, former Ambassador Nikki Haley made such a key decision in her career to become the UN ambassador for former President Donald Trump, but to define that position on her own terms. She didn't echo Trump's America First nationalism while she served in his administration. And now at this foreign policy crossroads in the Republican presidential race, she is articulating that traditional conservative worldview. And so to answer your question, Ed, with the departure of former Vice President Mike Pence, perhaps he thinks about where he's going to put his endorsement, his political capital in the coming weeks. Certainly probably not toward Trump, his one-time ally, now critic. Could he put it towards Nikki Haley and give her a lift as someone who is amplifying many of the themes, not exactly the same way, but similar themes to what he ran on?
And, of course, they worked together. They were, partners to some extent, like-minded, so perhaps wouldn't be a surprise. But that poll just continues to show his complete dominance, the former president's, in Iowa, as we are also seeing nationally. And he didn't go down at all in these rankings, despite the ongoing legal mess. If anything, it's just the bottom of the field shifting. You were looking at the second choice decisions of these Republicans, because that matters, of course, in a caucus.
Yeah.
What's that telling us?
I think the really big thing, every time I've talked to any of these campaigns over the past several months, their main argument is we just need to be the last person standing, and then we will be the only Trump alternative, and that's where we can coalesce our votes. And what this poll showed is that that's actually not what could happen, because if DeSantis drops out, a huge number of people who want DeSantis for president are going to go back to Trump at this point. And so you have to look at it at that. And that, I think, throws a really big wrinkle into this argument from non-Trump opponents that all I have to do is be the last person standing in this race.
Yeah. On the Democratic side, Dean Phillips just had his first full weekend as a declared presidential candidate. You were with him in New Hampshire. What's the draw like? Is there any appetite for him?
Well, I was having a fun time up there as a reporter in Manchester, New Hampshire on Friday. I had lunch with your colleague, Dave Weigel from Semafor, along with Jonathan Martin from Politico. And Jonathan has a really astute piece today in Politico where he talks about President Biden's decision to not be on the ballot, which Ed has reported on in New Hampshire, instead focusing entirely on South Carolina. But that could give an opportunity for Congressman Phillips to build some traction in New Hampshire, to get some attention. Now, as Ed has reported, if Phillips or anyone wins New Hampshire, that does not mean they're going to win any delegates, but it could be a jolt. And for someone like President Biden to be beat or to have someone competitive in New Hampshire's never a good look. And there's another Minnesota Democrat in history, Eugene McCarthy in 1968, who famously or infamously, depending on who you ask in the Democratic Party, gave President Lyndon Johnson a bit of a scare when he did well in New Hampshire in 1968. Not in similar circumstances, but the idea of New Hampshire being an opportunity for an outsider well, it's there again.
And either because of Phillips or in spite of him, there is at least a grassroots attempt to make sure the president wins that New Hampshire Democratic primary with this write-in ballot campaign. I know you've been doing some work on whether or not the president himself actually supports this or would even publicly push for it to succeed.
It's a looming question. And next time Ed's in the White House briefing room, maybe he'll ask Karine Jean-Pierre on behalf of the political reporters here who are not in the briefing room.
If only she would take campaign questions. Yeah,
well,
I would.
It does. You do wonder, does the White House at some point get involved if Dean Phillips starts to catch on? For now, it's the early days for Dean Phillips. But look, 2 or 3 months in politics can be a lifetime.
Yeah. So, Shelby, I'm going to ask you the question that you probably got asked about 9 times between coming home from Las Vegas to getting here by friends, family, your fellow passengers. Pence is out. Who's the next Republican we need to be watching and circling?
It's a good question. We were talking about this earlier. I think Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley are in it for the long haul. I think Tim Scott is in it for the long haul. I know you argued that he might be one to sort of drop out. I could see that because of his polling numbers. So in terms of major kind of tier 1 candidates, and I say that in terms of these are the candidates all kind of fighting closely for second place, I could see Tim Scott being the next major candidate. And then obviously you have some of these lower tier candidates like Asa Hutchinson or Doug Burgum. I think not making the debate stage next week is going to be really notable for those kinds of candidates as well.
I mean, Asa Hutchinson's down to answering phone calls himself. So
it's such a it's a gamble because you think about President Biden in 2020, did terrible in Iowa, did terrible in New Hampshire, but comes back in South Carolina. So if you're someone like Senator Tim Scott, you got to wonder, even if you don't win Iowa or do well in New Hampshire, could you come back in your home state? That's the temptation for Senator Scott.
Shelby Talcott and Robert Costa, thank you both.